Captain William Hayes stood on the bridge of the Earth defense vessel Dauntless, his eyes fixed on the main screen. 5 alien ships had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were unlike anything he had seen before, sleek, with curved edges that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "What do we know about them?" he asked, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. Science Officer Diane Miller looked up from her station. "Nothing in our databases matches their design, Captain. This is a completely new species." The bridge fell silent. After 200 years of space exploration, humanity had encountered several alien civilizations, but all had been peaceful. These ships, however, were clearly built for war. "They're broadcasting something," said Communications Officer Lisa Bennett, her fingers moving quickly across her console. "It's not in any language we know, but the universal translator is working on it." Minutes passed as the crew watched the alien vessels. They made no aggressive moves, but their position, blocking the direct path between Earth and its colony on Europa, was a clear statement. "Translation complete," Lisa announced. The crew turned toward her station. "Sir, it's an ultimatum." She pressed a button, and a harsh voice filled the bridge. "Primitive species of Sol system. We are the Joraxian Empire, rulers of 1,000 worlds. Your system now falls within our expansion zone. Surrender your planets and accept your place as subjects of Emperor Krazul, or be annihilated. You have 1 Earth day to respond." Captain Hayes clenched his jaw. "Can you intercept any of their other communications?" Lisa nodded. "Their encryption is complex, but not impossible. Give me an hour." Hayes called an emergency meeting in the conference room. Security Chief Alan Garcia, Science Officer Diane Miller, and Combat Specialist Kevin Wright gathered around the table. "Options?" Hayes asked simply. "Their technology appears advanced," Diane said, "but I've been analyzing their energy signatures. Their weapon systems use a form of plasma technology we experimented with 50 years ago before developing better alternatives." Kevin Wright nodded. "And their ship design suggests they value intimidation over efficiency. Classic bullying tactic, make yourself look scary to avoid actual fights." "What about their numbers?" Hayes asked. Alan brought up a holographic display. "Long-range scans show approximately 30 ships behind these 5 scouts. Substantial, but not overwhelming." The door slid open, and Lisa hurried in. "Captain, I've cracked their communications. They've been studying us for months, but have serious misconceptions. They think we're pre-FTL, with only basic weapons technology. They consider Earth a simple conquest and have already assigned governors to our major cities." Hayes stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Humanity had faced extinction before, from its own nuclear weapons, from climate disasters, from the asteroid that nearly hit Earth in 2082. Each time, humanity had not just survived but emerged stronger. "The Joraxians have conquered thousands of worlds," Lisa continued, "but from what I can tell, they've never encountered significant resistance. Most species surrender immediately." Hayes turned back to his crew. "And what happens to those who surrender?" "Enslavement, resource extraction until the planet is depleted, then abandonment," Lisa said quietly. The captain looked at each of his officers. "Then our course is clear. Send a message to Earth Defense Command with everything we know. And to our new friends out there." He paused, a slight smile forming on his face. "Send them one word." "Sir?" Lisa asked. "Tell them, run." As the message was transmitted, the scout ship shifted position, clearly confused by the unexpected response. On Earth, defense systems began powering up, hidden weapons platforms throughout the solar system activated, and humanity prepared for war. The Joraxian Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds, but they had never fought humans before. Emperor Krazul sat on his obsidian throne aboard the massive command ship Eternal Glory. His scaled skin glittered in the purple light of the command center as he watched the human message replay on the main screen. "Run." The Emperor laughed, a harsh sound that made his attendants flinch. Such primitive defiance. They will make excellent slaves. Imperial strategist Vox then bowed low before the throne. My emperor, I have analyzed the human broadcasts we intercepted. Their history is filled with conflict. All species fight, Krazel dismissed with a wave of his seven-fingered hand. It means nothing. With respect, these humans fight differently, Vox then insisted. They wage war against themselves with surprising brutality. Their weapons, while not as advanced as ours, show remarkable innovation. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Show me. Vox then displayed images of human warfare throughout history. Ancient spear formations, medieval castle sieges, World War I battles, modern drone strikes. They have been perfecting the art of killing each other for thousands of years. Krazel studied the images with mild interest. Primitive tools, inefficient methods. Their battles waste resources and lives. That is what concerns me, Vox then said carefully. They value victory over efficiency, over logic. Fleet Commander Drazer stepped forward. My Emperor, the human defenses are negligible. Their largest ships are less than half the size of our smallest cruisers. Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. This will be a brief conquest. The Emperor nodded, his decision made. Begin the invasion. I want their planet secured within 3 days. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Mary Wilson stood in the underground command center of the United Earth Defense Force. Holographic displays showed the positions of human forces throughout the solar system. All hidden outposts report ready status, her aide reported. Mars defense grid is operational. Jupiter Station is armed and awaiting orders. General Wilson nodded. And the special weapon systems. Deployed and undetected, ma'am. The general allowed herself a small smile. For 50 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. After the near destruction of Earth by their own nuclear weapons a century ago, humans had united and built defenses not just against themselves, but against potential threats from the stars. The alien fleet is moving, announced the sensor officer. 32 ships approaching Mars orbit. As expected, Wilson said, they'll want to secure the outer planets first. Connect me with the Dauntless. Captain Hayes appeared on screen. General, Captain, your ship has the best position to observe the first engagement. Maintain your distance and gather tactical data. Understood, General. We've been analyzing their communications. Lieutenant John Carter has discovered something interesting about their shield technology. The young lieutenant stepped into view. Ma'am, their shields operate on a frequency modulation that changes every 30 seconds. But there's a pattern, a 3-second vulnerability during each shift. General Wilson's eyes widened. Can we exploit that? Yes, ma'am, Carter replied. I've already transmitted the timing sequence to our weapon systems. Across the solar system, human commanders received the data. Hidden bases on Mars moons, Phobos and Deimos, adjusted their targeting systems. Defense platforms disguised as ordinary asteroids calculated new firing solutions. Aboard the Juraxian command ship, Fleet Commander Drazer prepared his victory speech. The humans will surrender after the first barrage, he assured the Emperor. Their pathetic defenses cannot withstand our might. Emperor Krazel nodded, but something bothered him. That single-word message, run, suggested not fear, but warning. As if the humans knew something he didn't. A simple intimidation tactic, he told himself. Nothing more. As the Juraxian fleet approached Mars, they remained unaware that they were flying into a carefully prepared trap. The humans had been expecting visitors from the stars for generations, not all of them friendly, and humanity had prepared accordingly. The Juraxian assault fleet moved into position around Mars, their massive ships casting long shadows across the red planet's surface. From his command chair, Fleet Commander Drazer gazed at the seemingly empty Martian landscape. No defenses detected, reported his scanner operator. The human colonies on Mars appear to be minimal mining outposts. Drazer smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Begin the bombardment. Show these humans the consequence of defiance. The first Juraxian ships powered up their main weapons, green energy building at their tips. But before they could fire, the surface of Mars' two small moons began to change. What had appeared to be ordinary craters suddenly opened, revealing massive rail gun barrels. Dozens of weapon ports activated simultaneously across Phobos and Deimos. "Enemy weapons detected," shouted the scanner operator, panic in his voice. "Impossible," Drazzer growled. "Our scans showed nothing." His words were cut short as the first volley of electromagnetically accelerated projectiles slammed into the Zoraxian ships. The specially designed rounds struck precisely during the 3-second shield transition periods that Lieutenant Carter had discovered. Chief Engineer Sam Cooper monitored the attack from his control room deep inside Phobos. "Direct hits across their front line," he reported to General Wilson. "Shield penetration successful." In orbit around Jupiter, a cluster of what the Zoraxians had dismissed as ordinary asteroids suddenly activated their engines. These disguised defense platforms moved into attack formation, launching antimatter missiles toward the alien fleet. "Second wave incoming," Cooper announced. "Asteroid defense network is engaging." Aboard his flagship, Emperor Krazul watched in disbelief as 3 of his warships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Their technology should be primitive." Imperial strategist Vox Then's face had paled. "The humans hid their capabilities, my Emperor. They wanted us to attack." From the shadows of Mars' far side, a squadron of small, black ships emerged. So dark they absorbed nearly all light, they were nearly invisible against the blackness of space. Pilot Grace Rodriguez led the squadron. "Stealth squadron in position," she reported, targeting their command vessels. Her fighters darted between the much larger Zoraxian ships, firing precisely timed bursts that bypassed the alien shields. The human vessels moved with surprising speed and agility, evading return fire with practiced ease. "Their ships are too small and fast," shouted a Zoraxian gunner. "We cannot lock weapons." Fleet Commander Drazzer watched in horror as his carefully organized attack dissolved into chaos. "Fall back. Regroup at Jupiter's orbit." But the human forces had anticipated this move. Another wave of hidden defense platforms activated near Jupiter's moons, catching the retreating Zoraxian ships in a deadly crossfire. Aboard the Dauntless, Captain Hayes and his crew monitored the battle. "The Zoraxians have lost 11 ships," reported combat specialist Kevin Wright. "They're in complete disarray." "And our losses?" Hayes asked. 3 defense platforms destroyed. No human casualties yet." Emperor Krazul's voice boomed through the Zoraxian communication channels. "Fall back to Saturn. Full retreat." As the surviving alien ships fled, General Wilson addressed the Earth Defense Forces. "Good work, everyone. But this was only their first wave. They'll be back with reinforcements." On his throne aboard the command ship, Emperor Krazul seethed with rage. In 3 centuries of conquest, his forces had never suffered such a defeat. "The humans knew our weaknesses," he growled. "They were prepared." Vox then nodded grimly. "Perhaps we should reconsider this invasion, my Emperor." "No." Krazul smashed his fist against his throne. "I will not be defeated by primitives. Prepare the main fleet. We will crush these humans with overwhelming force." But for the first time in his long reign, a seed of doubt had been planted in the Emperor's mind. The single-word message from the humans echoed in his thoughts. "Run." Perhaps it had not been defiance after all. Perhaps it had been a warning. Admiral Paul Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Earth battleship Defiance, watching as his fleet assembled near Neptune. 50 warships of various sizes formed a precise formation against the backdrop of the blue planet. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his executive officer announced. Mitchell nodded. "The Zoraxians expect us to wait for their next attack. They don't understand humans very well." The fleet had been hidden in Neptune's atmosphere, shielded from Zoraxian sensors. Now they emerged, preparing for humanity's first interplanetary offensive operation. "Activate the halcyon drives," Mitchell ordered. Throughout the fleet, new engines powered up, the result of 20 years of secret development. Blue-white energy fields surrounded each ship as they accelerated to speeds no alien vessel could match. Near Saturn, Emperor Krazul prepared his counterattack when an aide rushed into the command center. "My Emperor, human ships approaching at impossible speeds." The Emperor turned to the tactical display in disbelief. "How did they get past our sensor network?" Before any answer came, the human fleet appeared near Saturn's rings. The Zoraxian ships scrambled to form a defensive line, but they were too slow. Admiral Mitchell's voice broadcast across all frequencies. "Zoraxian vessels, this is Admiral Paul Mitchell of the Earth Defense Force. You entered our system uninvited. You threatened our people. This is our response." The human ships struck with precision, targeting the weakest points in the Zoraxian formation. Their advanced propulsion systems allowed them to maneuver in ways the aliens couldn't predict. Aboard the Dauntless, Science Officer Diane Miller completed her work on the translation matrix. "Captain, I can now intercept and understand all Zoraxian communications in real time." Hayes nodded. "Excellent. What are they saying?" Miller listened through her headset. "They're confused. Scared. Their commanders are arguing about tactics." "Forward all tactical information to Admiral Mitchell," Hayes ordered. With this intelligence advantage, the human fleet outmaneuvered the Zoraxians at every turn. Near Jupiter, a squad of Earth ships discovered a key Zoraxian supply depot hidden behind one of the gas giant's moons. "All ships, focus fire," Admiral Mitchell commanded. "That depot contains vital resources." The human vessels converged on the depot, their weapons finding the weak points in its defenses. Within minutes, the facility was captured intact, yielding valuable intelligence and technology. Back on Earth, Dr. Olivia Edwards led a team of scientists examining previously captured Zoraxian equipment. In her laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, she made an exciting discovery. Their communication technology uses quantum entanglement. She explained to General Wilson over a secure channel. "If we can adapt it to our defense systems, we can create an impenetrable network." General Wilson smiled. "How soon?" 48 hours, Edwards replied confidently. Throughout the Zoraxian fleet, fear began to spread. Warriors who had never known defeat now faced an enemy who seemed to anticipate their every move. "These humans fight like demons," a Zoraxian commander told his troops. "They know no fear. They adapt to our tactics faster than we can change them." Emperor Krazul, listening to these reports, felt something unfamiliar: doubt. In 3 centuries of conquest, no species had ever mounted an effective counterattack against his forces. How can primitives defeat the greatest empire in the galaxy? He demanded of his advisors. Imperial strategist Vox then studied the battle data carefully. "My Emperor, I believe we have misunderstood these humans. They are not primitive at all. They simply developed along a different path than we expected." "Explain," Krazul demanded. "Most species we conquered developed space travel before perfecting warfare," Vox then said. "The humans perfected warfare first, then went to the stars. They were ready for us." As the human fleet continued its advance, Admiral Mitchell received a new communication from Earth Command. The next phase of the campaign was ready, a strategy that would strike at the heart of the Zoraxian Empire's confidence. The humans were about to demonstrate another of their specialties: psychological warfare. Captain William Hayes sat in his quarters aboard the Dauntless, reviewing the files selected for the next phase of Earth's strategy. On his screen played images from human history: ancient Spartan warriors holding off the Persian army at Thermopylae, the resistance fighters of World War II, the lunar landing, and scenes from humanity's most devastating conflicts. "Are you sure this will work?" asked Communications Officer Lisa Bennett. Hayes nodded. "The Zoraxians conquered through fear. It's time they learned what fear really is." General Wilson had authorized Operation Nightmare, a carefully crafted psychological campaign designed to break the enemy's will. Lisa had spent days selecting the most impactful images and videos from human history. Begin transmission on all Joraxian frequencies, Hayes ordered. Across the enemy fleet, screens suddenly filled with scenes from Earth's bloody past. The Zoraxian warriors watched in horror as humans fought against overwhelming odds throughout history, often choosing death over surrender. "What kind of species fights like this?" asked a Zoraxian officer, watching footage of the charge at Normandy Beach. In another ship, warriors viewed the nuclear explosion at Hiroshima with terror. They used this weapon on themselves. One asked in disbelief. Lisa had added careful narration, explaining concepts alien to Zoraxian culture: guerrilla warfare, mutually assured destruction, and humanity's long history of fighting against superior forces. "They don't understand," Lisa explained to Captain Hayes. "The Zoraxians always had technological superiority. The idea of fighting when outmatched makes no sense to them." Meanwhile, Security Chief Alan Garcia led a special team on a covert mission. His small stealth ship approached the Zoraxian command vessel under cover of a sensor blind spot. "Team ready," he whispered into his communicator. "Preparing to board." Garcia's team moved silently through the alien ship, placing small devices at key locations. These were not bombs, but data modules containing false intelligence about Earth's military capabilities, suggesting weapons far beyond what humans actually possessed. "Plant the evidence in their central database," Garcia instructed his team. "Make it look like they missed it in their initial scans." On Earth, communications specialist Lisa Bennett executed the next phase of the operation. Using the knowledge gained from captured Zoraxian technology, she hacked into their communication network. "I'm in," she reported to General Wilson. "Deploying the misinformation packets now." Throughout the Zoraxian fleet, confusion spread as contradictory orders appeared to come from command ships. Some vessels were directed to defensive positions that didn't exist, while others received false reports of human attack ships that weren't there. Emperor Krazul watched with growing anger as his once orderly invasion fell into chaos. "What is happening?" he demanded. Imperial strategist Vox Than's expression was grim. "The humans are inside our systems, my Emperor. They are using our own network against us." "Impossible." "And yet it is happening," Vox Than replied quietly. "They are also broadcasting their history to our warriors." The Emperor watched a montage of human conflicts playing on a nearby screen. "Their history is savage. They'd fight like animals." "That is precisely the point they're making, my Emperor," said Vox Than. "We have conquered 1,000 worlds, but we have never faced a species that perfected warfare before reaching the stars." On the Zoraxian homeworld, citizens gathered around public screens as Earth's transmissions reached their planet. They saw images carefully selected to maximize psychological impact. Earth's mightiest warriors, most devastating weapons, and most heroic last stands. A message accompanied the images, translated into the Zoraxian language. "We gave you one warning. We told you to run. This is why." Dissent began to spread through the ranks as fear took hold. Several sub-commanders approached Emperor Krazul privately, suggesting that perhaps this conquest was not worth the cost. The Emperor's rage grew. "I will not be defeated by primitives. Prepare the final assault. We will destroy their homeworld and end this resistance." But as he gave the order, he noticed something disturbing: hesitation in his officer's eyes. Sub-Commander Thexar stood on the bridge of his warship, the Swift Claw, watching Emperor Krazul's increasingly erratic orders scroll across his command screen. The Emperor demanded total commitment to a final, all-out assault on Earth, a plan that would cost countless Zoraxian lives. "Have we become the monsters in these human stories?" Thexar asked his second-in-command. For 10 generations, Thexar's family had served the Empire with unquestioning loyalty. But the human broadcasts had awakened something in him, doubt in the Empire's righteousness. "The Emperor has lost perspective," Thexar decided. "This war cannot be won. Across the Zoraxian fleet, similar conversations were happening. 6 sub-commanders made contact with Thexar through secure channels. "We cannot follow these orders," said Sub-Commander Vexlar of the Eternal Might. "The humans have shown they can defeat our best tactics. The Emperor will execute us for treason," another warned. Thexar straightened his spine. Better to die for peace than in a pointless war. On Earth, Lieutenant Nicole Foster monitored these communications from the diplomatic center in Geneva. As a specialist in alien psychology, she had been waiting for this moment. "General Wilson," she reported, "we have a split in the Zoraxian command structure. Multiple vessels are rejecting the Emperor's orders." Wilson nodded. "Open a channel to the dissenting commanders." Foster crafted a careful message. "Zoraxian vessels, we have monitored your concerns. Earth is willing to discuss terms with those who seek peace." Thexar received the message with surprise. In the Empire's 3-century history, they had never negotiated, only conquered or destroyed. "Can we trust them?" asked his second-in-command. "They could have destroyed us already," Thexar pointed out. "Yet they offer talks." Emperor Krazul learned of the communication and was furious. "Traitors! I will destroy them myself." Aboard his flagship, the Emperor ordered his loyal ships to attack the dissenting vessels. For the first time in the Empire's history, Zoraxian fired upon Zoraxian. "The Empire is fracturing," Captain Hayes observed from the Dauntless. "Their civil conflict gives us an opportunity." On his screen, he watched as nearly 1/3 of the Zoraxian fleet moved to form a protective barrier between Earth and the Emperor's loyal forces. Thexar's voice came through on an open channel. "People of Earth, I speak for those who seek peace. We request sanctuary and the chance to discuss terms." Lieutenant Foster prepared the diplomatic response, while General Wilson mobilized Earth's defense network for the Emperor's inevitable attack. "All civilian shelters report secure status," announced Wilson's aide. "Orbital defense grid at full power." Wilson turned to Dr. Olivia Edwards. "Is the new shield technology ready?" Edwards nodded confidently. "We've successfully adapted the Zoraxian quantum tech. Earth has never been better protected." The Emperor's loyalist fleet approached Earth in attack formation. His voice boomed across all frequencies. "Humans, you have corrupted my warriors and stolen my technology. For this, your world will burn." General Wilson's expression was grim but determined. "All defense stations, prepare for engagement. Activate planetary shield." Around Earth, thousands of satellites and defense platforms activated simultaneously. They projected a shimmering blue energy field that enveloped the planet. Lieutenant Foster continued her negotiations with the defecting Zoraxians. "Sub-Commander Thexar, we accept your offer of alliance. Position your vessels according to the coordinates we're sending." Thexar was surprised by the humans' efficiency and trust. "You would fight alongside us so quickly." "We recognize potential friends," Foster replied, "even among former enemies." As the Emperor's fleet approached Earth, they faced not only the planet's formidable defenses, but also their own kind fighting alongside the humans. "The Emperor has lost his way," Thexar broadcast to the approaching ships. "This war cannot be won. Join us in seeking peace." More Zoraxian vessels broke formation, turning away from their Emperor's suicidal mission. Krazul screamed in rage as his invasion force dwindled. "I will not be denied. Forward. Attack." His remaining loyal ships surged toward Earth, weapons charged for what would become the final battle of the Zoraxian human war. Emperor Krazul's remaining fleet charged toward Earth, weapons blazing against the planet's shimmering shield. Bright flashes lit up space as energy beams struck the defensive barrier. "Shield holding at 94%, reported Dr. Edwards from Earth Command. "Their weapons are powerful, but our adapted technology is stronger." General Wilson nodded. "Launch counterattack." Earth's defense platforms fired in perfect coordination. Each shot targeted the weak points in Zoraxian shields that Lieutenant Carter had discovered. One by one, The Emperor's ships exploded or drifted powerless in space. Still, the massive Imperial flagship pushed forward, its weapons more powerful than any other Zoraxian vessel. "That ship could breach our shields if we let it get close enough," warned Dr. Edwards. Captain Hayes watched from the Dauntless. "We need to end this now." Combat Specialist Wright, "Prepare a boarding party." Kevin Wright, who had studied Zoraxian ship designs from captured vessels, nodded. "Ready, sir." The Dauntless moved into position behind the Imperial flagship, using the confusion of battle as cover. Wright led his team through a maintenance hatch in the Zoraxian ship's hull. "We're in," he reported quietly, moving toward the command center. Meanwhile, the Emperor raged at his officers. "Fire everything. Destroy their world." But the officers hesitated, watching as their fleet was decimated by human defenses and their own former comrades now fighting alongside the humans. "My Emperor," said the weapons officer, "perhaps we should consider." Silence. Krazel struck the officer with his clawed hand. "I am the Emperor. I do not surrender." The bridge doors exploded inward as Wright's team breached the command center. In seconds, they secured the room, disarming the Zoraxian officers. Emperor Krazel stood defiant, his scaled skin flushed dark purple with rage. "Kill me then, humans. I will not live as a defeated ruler." "Stand down," Wright ordered. "Captain Hayes is on his way to speak with you." Minutes later, Hayes entered the Imperial Command Center. He approached Krazel calmly, showing no fear of the towering alien emperor. "Why?" Krazel demanded. "How could primitives defeat the greatest empire in the galaxy?" Hayes looked at him steadily. "Because we've been fighting since before we could write. War is in our blood. My scientists said your technology was inferior." "It was," Hayes admitted. "But humans don't rely just on technology. We adapt. We improvise. We overcome." Hayes activated a small projector showing scenes from Earth's history. "For thousands of years, we fought each other. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times. But each conflict taught us something new about warfare." Krazel watched the images with new understanding. "Your warning. You told us to run." "Yes," Hayes nodded. "We knew what would happen. We knew the cost. We tried to spare you." Throughout the galaxy, news of the Emperor's defeat spread rapidly. On 1,000 worlds conquered by the Zoraxians, oppressed species looked up with hope for the first time in generations. 1 week later, aboard the Earth Defense Headquarters, Emperor Krazel signed the formal surrender of the Zoraxian Empire. "In 3 centuries, we never encountered a species like yours," he told General Wilson. "We never thought to run." The surrender terms were surprisingly generous. Earth did not seek territory or reparations, only peace and the freedom of all worlds under Zoraxian control. 6 months later, Captain Hayes stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned exploration vessel Unity, a joint human-Zoraxian project. Former enemies now worked side by side, learning from each other. Long-range sensors detected a new alien fleet approaching the edge of the solar system. "Unknown vessels at the boundary," reported Lisa Bennett. "They appear to be scanning us." Hayes nodded calmly. "Open a channel." The view screen showed a new alien species, tall, crystalline beings with multiple eyes. Hayes smiled. "This is Captain William Hayes of Earth. We come in peace and friendship." He paused, then added quietly, "But if peace is not your intention, I suggest you run." The alien commander looked confused for a moment, then nodded respectfully. It seemed the galaxy was learning an important lesson. Humans made better friends than enemies. The end.